Alrighty then, let's get on into it. Yo. Welcome to... Is the lighting on my face alright? Yeah, alright. Welcome to Living for a Living, episode 100.
Living for a living, baby. How you doing?
Gotta admit, didn't ever... Well, I don't know. I guess I did expect to get to 100, but it feels weird to be at 100. And I think someone said, you're going to do something special for 100? And I said, no, I don't think so. Because if I ever get to 1,000, which I kind of plan on getting to at some point, then 100 really isn't shit. It's just another episode. It's just another game. It is what it is. It sounds cool. I think there's some stat that says like 90% of podcasts end before episode 8. Let me see this. How many episodes on average does a normal podcast go? 56.1% of podcasts had 10 episodes or fewer. 17% had 50 episodes or more. The mean number of episodes was 30.1. So, I'm at 100. Only 17% had 50 or more. I don't know what then the number is for over 100. But I'm creeping up the percentages. And in a way, it's just kind of like, Rogan. We're going to talk about Rogan and get into all that stuff. And I wasn't planning on talking about any of this podcast statistic BS, but here we are. But a lot of these podcasts that are super popular now are on episode 300, 400. Rogan's on, 1,000? No, 2,000? I don't even know what he's on. And it just goes back to the point of, when have you ever really worked hard for something and not quit on it and then not gotten it? And so it's kind of the name of the game is just being consistent and not quitting. And maybe sometimes that's stupid, but in other ways, that's how success and overnight success happens. So, episode 100, glad to have y'all here. It means a lot. Man, it's weird to say that. This is going on like 2 years now, more or less. Shout out to my guy Ryan for the J. Brad swag hoodie purchase in that Sioux green or that Irish green, whatever marketing campaign I'm trying to use for it. I played against Ryan in Portugal my first year there, and he is who I channel whenever I'm trying to get a little busy with the rock in my hands. He played quarterback, and then also in the championship game, or most of the season, I guess, went both ways, playing quarterback and safety, and kind of single-handedly almost beat us in that championship game. I learned my lesson there as an OC. We were up by 4 points. Yeah. We were up 4 with like 4 minutes to go, just trying to kind of run the clock out. End up running a reverse kind of end-around play to our best athlete. Talking to my boy Colin this week for the first time in like 3-4 months. Pedro, probably one of the most underrated American football players in the history of American football that no one will ever know about. Could cut off his inside leg better than anyone I've ever seen in my life. But he takes this end-around for like 50 or 60 to put us up by 10 points. Yeah, we were up 4, so he scores a touchdown, we're up. So we score 6, we're up 10. We never kicked PATs that year, so we went for 2 always, and I learned the lesson that if you're up by 10 late in the game, it's honestly better to take a knee than it is to go for 2, or if you have a shaky PAT thing, it's better to take a knee and be up by 10, because what ensued was we ran a little whip route to Pedro, who was feeling it, went off his hands. Brandon picked it off and went 102 yards for the touchdown, which on a 2-point conversion is worth 2 for the defense. So now we were up 10. Now we're only up 8. So it was a 2-score game. Now it's a 1-score game, and we're kicking it to them. They went down and scored, I believe, and then didn't get the 2-point conversion to tie it. If we would have gone into overtime, 100% we would have lost. So shout out to my guy Ryan. He made the purchase. And shout out to everybody out there, too. Would really appreciate it if you would keep doing the story posting thing. Throw a little comment on there, all these little YouTube metrics, because that shit worked for this last episode. I think we, and by we I mean me, had like 100%, 200%, double the view time of that Story of J. Brad Swag episode. Also, it kind of piqued the interests of people from North Dakota who probably don't listen to the show, although shout out to my boy Chris, because I didn't think people from North Dakota listen, but my guy Tony listens every episode, I guess. And he was plugging me in all the group chats to guys I haven't talked to, and that was a cool episode to do because it was definitely a little therapeutic for me. I would have liked to have said and got my point across better that I really don't have any ill will towards any of those people and the coaches and whoever I was talking about at this point in my life. Obviously, there's probably something that eats at me a little bit, but at the end of the day, all that shit happening put me on this path that's put me in this chair right now. And so I'm grateful for it, and I'm thankful for it. And so I don't have any like ill will, even for people I thought that maybe did me wrong and stuff like that. So I wanted to just make that clear. But no, the story stuff, man, is working. We piqued some people's interest. My boy TC, he said, hey, bro, he sent me a message, said, hey, bro, I haven't really been listening. Just clips here and there. But I checked out this last episode, and you've gotten a lot better from whenever I listened to a full episode like a year or two ago. And then even the boy Roberti messaged me on Snapchat, was like, bro, how do I listen to the podcast? It's like, you'd think that guy would know how technology works if he's 33 years old and on Snapchat still. But hey, he's listening now. So no, that was a fun one, man. That was a super fun one. So I appreciate, just keep doing the story thing for me. That like is a big thing that I think doesn't take much time, yet has a big impact, because let's psychologically trick all those other motherfuckers into this shit growing, please, and thank you. Man, speaking of Roberti, I'm and speaking of the North Dakota like episode, I realized that is a good way, good kind of marketing thing, a good way to get people that maybe haven't tuned in over the last 2 years. It's a good way to get people to check it out if you do a kind of story time or tell all of a specific place that you've lived or a specific situation or whatever. So I'm going to try and do some more kind of story time episodes. And I'd be curious to hear, because I've lived in a bunch of different places and all you guys follow from different places. So comment below, please, or respond on, I think I can do a poll on Spotify. I'm going to test it out. But respond to where you would like to hear a story time of next, whether it be Issaquah and football, DVC, New Haven, Lisbon, Poland, Czech Republic, Spain, the times in Florida, road trip. You know, like if there's something that I've mentioned at some point that you'd like to hear me elaborate on, I got stories for days, and that's what I said. Speaking of Roberti, when at some point I'm going to do a UNH story time And that motherfucker I might have to get him on that episode because that guy's a piece of work. But one of my favorite guys ever. So, what else? I decided I'm going to go do the power rankings like once a month. That kind of gives time for things to happen. You know, I'll do it at the beginning of every month, basically, and that'll be recapping. It'll be the power rankings for the month prior. So we had the inaugural first power rankings at the beginning of January. So beginning of February. Is that what month it is now? Yeah. Beginning of February. Beginning of March. It'll be every month the slate will be wiped clean. So it'll all depend on that previous month's effort. And, you know, the story thing, make a purchase, send a message. But preferably, like I said, the story thing and then commenting on YouTube would be big. Because that, like, specifically helps me in the algorithm and just get on people's brainwaves. You know, it might take someone 12 stories to see it. It might annoy people to a certain degree. I don't want to fucking see this shit anymore. Well, and then finally on the next one, it's like, well, maybe I'll just check it out. Maybe. So please and thank you. I've had some nice messages regarding all that stuff. And I like getting a little conversation going in the YouTube comments. You know, it's been cool. I got my first hate comment on YouTube. Well, not my first, but one of the first, where someone said something along the lines of unintended ignorance has never been used so ironically. Because I said that in one of the episodes. And so they were getting at me saying that I'm unintentionally ignorant. And I responded back like, wow, thank you. There we go. Finally a hate comment. Because for the most part on YouTube, it's all like my mom and Will and Adam and people that I know that are responding with like very good things. And we get a little conversation going. But as I've been learning on TikTok and as I've been saying, is the way to really grow is if everyone likes what you're doing, you're not doing something worthwhile to a certain degree. Because even I don't know, like even people who film themselves giving food to homeless people have haters, and I'm one of them. I don't think you should film yourself doing like nice things, like showing off doing philanthropists shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Doing nice things. So if you only have people saying, oh yeah, this is great, then you're probably not going to grow. Because I think hate is almost like more of a strong emotion than like is. So, and I've been like laughing at myself, you know, when I said the haters and this and that, because that's always just been a comical thing for me to hear people talk about. Oh yeah, do it for the haters. And that's really never been too big on my mind. I've had people that doubt throughout my life. No doubt. And a big portion, I don't know, maybe a big portion. On like the last 20, 30 minutes in the gym, they're a good motivating factor. But I don't want to make it seem like I just do this to make my haters mad, because that's not the case. Yeah. Some random stuff. I don't know how long of an episode we'll get today. It's been, I was shocked. I went to practice the other day, and shout out to like Noah and Kosti and Hansa. It's got some random, and even Rope. I was kind of shocked at Rope. You listening, bro? Had a few guys on the team who I just like didn't expect to be listening would say, "Oh yeah, dude, I totally agree about this thing or that thing or whatever." I'm like, "You listen to this shit? That's cool." So, yeah, that's dope. But a couple random things. I have realized now, being back living on my own, one of the most underrated things about living by yourself is being able to poop with the door open. I've been on my own and living by myself for like the last 4 or 5 years. And then I was in the van. And so like pooping in the van was pretty fun too, because it just looked, I could have a little table, like really like this exact setup here where I have a table over my lap. So I could be sitting there at the table pooping with like a great view of the ocean. So actually the van probably were some of the best poops of my life. But then moving back in with Aunt for a little while, I just realized, damn, I got to close this door. And there's something, I don't know, there's something freeing about just shitting with the door open. So that's a little thought that I had while I was taking a dump this week. I also started playing Wordle because that damn everyone's sharing it on Twitter. And Wordle is like the best game for people to pretend and show off that they're intelligent, including myself. Because I don't really think it's that hard of a game. Or maybe I'm good at it. Maybe I'm just really fucking smart. Because I think I've played like 15 games now, and I haven't lost one of them. I end up getting the word every single time. You start with store, get S, T, R, and E all in one. I guess you could do stare if you wanted. A is probably more of a common vowel than O. And then depending on what I get with those 5 letters, I like to then go, what do I go? Then you can go check. No. What do I do next? I guess it kind of depends what you get on the first one. But getting a CH word in there is good to figure it out, because that's how they can throw you off. I've been thinking of some good words on that, where if like ozone would be a really good word for Wordle. Igloo is the fucking, just when igloo comes out, people are not going to get that one. I'm waiting for igloo. But yeah, I don't know. That's fucking random. And then my other random thought that I've had is, and this is probably my own thing, is, as I alluded last episode, been in just like a little anger kind of funk over the last while, and not all day, every day or anything like that, but just kind of this overarching theme. Although I have to admit, by admitting it, I feel a lot better. And also now that I feel that I've kind of pinpointed where it's stemming from, that's big. Although I still caught myself, and we're going to get into some COVID stuff, at this point, just talking about the cold. I still caught myself this week, even though I know that some of my anger stems from that stuff, and I'm trying not to judge and yada, yada, yada. Can we agree that if you're just wearing one of those like face shields at this point, you're a fucking idiot? And to that note, if you're doing it while working at a restaurant, I don't think you're an idiot, because that's probably the smart thing to do. You know, if you have to wear one for a job or whatever, I think that's the smart way to go, because you can still see people's faces and yada, yada, yada. But if we're going to come out and say like cloth masks aren't working, or that's actually a covering of your mouth, then just having a little plexiglass thing and all the air being open underneath, like, can we just say, I mean, and the people you see wearing those in public that aren't in in a job situation look like one step down of the evolutionary chart. And like I said, I'm trying not to judge books by their cover, but holy fuck, bro. Oh, jeez Louise. Yeah, I see those people and I'm like, well, I know what you do. I know what you're like. I think at this point you can kind of, maybe times are changing. Shit, that's a realization. Times are changing. Everything is always changing. In the past, you couldn't judge a book by its cover. But shit, maybe in the now, you can. For the obviously, there's always exceptions to the rules and things like that. But if you see a girl with half her head shaved and blue and pink hair and 2 piercings and fuck capitalism t-shirt, you kind of know what you're going to get. And in that case, I think you can judge a book by its cover, more or less. Shit. I think so. Whereas same things, you see someone rocking a face shield, walking in the forest by themselves, they might be missing a chromosome. Well, I'm going to get myself canceled. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm the Rogan of Finland, so I'm just going to try and... You can only get canceled if you want to get canceled, though. And this whole Rogan thing right now is just insanity. Because, but it makes sense, though. Because, why would you be concerned with the John Hopkins study that came out and said that lockdowns and all those measures had little to no effect on the mortality of things of what's been going on the last 2 years and have only had negative effects on society? Why would you care about that? Or why would you care about arguably the biggest child sex trafficking ring in the history of the world with incredibly powerful people involved? Why would you care about that when you could care about what a comedian said a decade ago? Obviously, Joe Rogan saying the N-word, which he said it a lot of fucking times. Joe Rogan himself has said he's not a very smart dude. And I think he is a relatively intelligent guy. But the amount of times he has said the N-word over the last 10 years, 11 years, whatever, is idiotic. Even though it's not like he's calling anybody it. He's still saying it way too fucking much on a public platform that's on record. That I heard that thing. First I saw his little response video, and I've never seen Joe Rogan up on the ropes so much as he is right now. And to be fair, I guess I feel torn about him kind of, not necessarily apologizing. I don't know what to call it. He says he regrets saying those things and using them, even though in context, yada, yada, yada. And to a degree, nowadays with the media the way it is, you don't even want to admit to anything and say and apologize for anything, unless it's truly fucked up. Which, in a way, it could be argued it is. I'm not going to sit here and say it was good of him to do that. But in context, I wouldn't say it's the worst thing in the world. But, boy, he said it so many times. I couldn't believe it. But it's been cool to see, all the other comedians and people in the podcast worlds kind of coming to his defense as, the easiest thing or the oldest play in the playbook is to label someone racist and try and cancel them and get them in the bad spotlight that way. And so it's been cool to see all the people come and rally and support with him, because from what it sounds like, he's not a racist guy. I don't think anybody who knows him, I don't know him. I'm just judging off of what a lot of people have said from all kinds of backgrounds. It's an obvious organized smear campaign. He's getting incredibly powerful to a certain degree, although at the same time he's not really powerful at all. He's becoming more powerful in the sense that they're trying to cancel him and failing. And they keep saying how much more powerful he is than he really is, in my opinion. At the end of the day, all these comedians, all these people podcasting, myself, we're just talking shit from our own perspective and our own experience. But some of these comedians, especially who've been in the comedy business for 10 years or more, don't have that much life experience. They have a lot of experience in the comedy world, but it's not like they've traveled, and it's not a lot, and been around the world. Or maybe they have traveled for comedy, but they're in a city for 24 hours and walk around one place. It's not like they've lived this thing. And so it cracks me up when I'll see Schultz or even Rogan talking about world issues and other countries and stuff like that. I forget, they were saying something about Finland or Norway, or I forget. And I was just like, you guys don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about. You're just regurgitating some information of something that you kind of read, but then trying to pass it off as this pseudo-intellectualism. And I do it too. I was on a podcast yesterday, Bold Perceptions, and we were talking about, I said something about I think Americans forget that America, a big thing to the American Revolution was the Boston Tea Party, which is true. That was a triggering point. And I said, it was over a 3% tax or whatever. And I got done when I said that, and I was like, I have no fucking clue if that's true. Let me look that up. So I looked that stuff up. That wasn't true. I think it ended up being they were taxed 3 cents per pound or something like that. So lost in translation, that's 3%. But it's to me, I don't know if anyone is, maybe some people are basing their lives off of what these people that they watch on podcasts say. It's, for me, it's informational, educational, entertainment, comedic. But I don't know, I'm not going to live and die by the words of Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn or any of the Tim Dillon, these guys that I all really like and respect and watch constantly. But if they say something I really agree with, or something I really disagree with, or something that pisses me off, I'm not going to just base my whole life off of it. And that's what the media is making it seem like with Rogan right now, is that people are he's this cult leader, that people are injecting ivermectin into their mainstream, their bloodline, because he said to do so. And I don't think that's true. And so it's just they've already tried to go at him with the transphobia, misogynistic. I saw there's some guy on Twitter now just going back and clipping up all the kind of offensive things that Rogan has said over the course of his podcasting life, which is more than anyone in history. And some of the stuff, it's whoa, if this is what's offensive now, then we're screwed. Comedy will die. Podcasting will die. But now they've switched to the race thing. And the crazy thing is that video, I guess, of the N-Word compilation has been out for 5 years, 4 years. So it's been out there. It's been public knowledge, relatively speaking. But now, because he's going against the big pharma and has the White House Surgeon General and the White House talking about him saying that Spotify needs to censor him and yada, 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 then it comes out. And like I said, do I think it was smart? No. He knew the camera was on. He knew the microphone was on. He knew, even though in the context that he's saying it, he's just saying it like to repeat that someone else said it. Bro, you got to limit your stories. It can't be 70 episodes. It can't be 70 clips to that compilation. If it was maybe only 5, you'd be all right, bro. You know, I've throughout my life and college career mainly, I was kind of always the one or two white dudes in the group, in the friends group in college football and things like that. And so throughout my time, I've been given what they call the N-word pass. And I've never cashed it in. I've never used that card. One, because I don't like the whole idea that only specific people can say it, even though I totally get the historical context behind it and the meaning of it and all those things. And part of me does love the, like, flipping it on its head to change it, to make it go from something negative into something that you're owning, you know, but anyway, I've never said it. At least even when I am given the pass, you know, I'll say, "Hey man, I don't care if you say it. You can say it, bro. It doesn't matter." I mean, it's one of the biggest compliments in the world when a black guy calls you his N-word. That's like, whew. I'm telling you, black people, when you do that, oh boy, you don't understand how much you have just made a white person's day. Dude. Speaking of North Dakota, my roommate in North Dakota, I came back from like Christmas break or something one time, and I walk in the house. He's a white dude from North Dakota, and he walks in. He's like, "What's up, Carl?" And I'm like, "Huh?" He's like, "What's up, Carl?" I said, "Carl, what, bro? What are you?" And he's a weird motherfucker, so I wasn't too taken back. I was like, "What are you talking about, bro?" It's like, "What's up, Carl?" I'm like, "Dude, what? What do you mean?" He's like, "No, Carl's my new word." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "You know, black guys, they can say the N-word. I can't say it. So I'm going to just say Carl instead of N-word." And I said, "Okay." And so then this slick motherfucker, we'd be around, like I said, one of the two white guys in the friend group, and he'd walk up, "What's up, Carl? How you doing? Carl, please." And then would just say it and look at me, and it took like a little while for people to catch on, and then people caught on. They're like, "Bickle, you're a fucking idiot," but that shit was clever, I will admit. But no, it's just it's a funny word, and I've had to be the kind of mediator and explain to Europeans in my time over in Europe the history behind it and the kind of meaning behind it, because for the most part they just see it being said in music or on movies and things like that, and they see it as like this term of endearment. Or then even people who say like, "Oh, well, I don't know the meaning of it," always use it a little bit slantedly. And I'll just tell them like, "Yo, you really shouldn't use that word. Like, I know that you're not meaning it in the exact way that maybe a white American is meaning it, but I'm just letting you know when you say it the way you're using it, you sound really fucking stupid and really ignorant. And I understand that you don't get the history behind it and the emotional baggage that comes with it, but I'm just telling you as someone who does get it, just don't use, just say black person. Just say that black guy over there. That you don't sound stupid when you say that, because that's all it is." And so, no, it's just I just don't know sometimes too if I feel like the media makes everything into a much bigger deal than it really is. And I'm not saying that the word never gets used like derogatorily or whatever. I'm sure it does. I know it does. I've heard it being used in bad ways before. But the media makes it seem like it's just like constantly happening. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it is, and that's just not my experience, so I don't know. But I don't feel, throughout my years talking with some of my black friends and asking, like, what's your thoughts on it? And they're like, well, I don't really like it, but I'm not gonna fight somebody over it. I'm not gonna, like, I don't care that much. It's kind of just stupid. Like, it lets me know who somebody is to a certain degree, like what type of person they are, but I'm not gonna fight over it because what? At the end of the day, it's just a word. I'm not gonna let a word control me like that. And that's a majority of the people I've talked to about it regarding the issue, that it is their experience. Shit, I like to ask questions about that type of shit. That's how we learn. Shit's not the most comfortable conversation in the world, but that's how you learn. But like, with that said, and as I've story time of like here in Finland, last summer we're partying, and there was like one guy in the group, Finnish dude, who's a fucking idiot, to be honest. And we're all drunk at 2, 3, 4 in the morning back at a house. And he says it around the other American guys on our team. And it definitely, and he didn't mean it in a bad way. He's just like trying to be cool, but he's a fucking idiot. And so it changed the vibe a little bit for the night, and everyone kind of just like let it slide and it's all whatever. And he apologized, yada, yada. But still to this day, when me and Ant talk about the guy, it's, the dude who said the N-word, and so it just, again, like I said, it sticks with you for people that have any clue about it. So even though, like I said, I've been given the pass, I just never got in the habit of saying it, because while I might have the card, my card might work in one friend group, there might be one guy in there where that card doesn't exchange right. And then getting in the habit of saying, there's nothing more cringy than a white guy who says that a lot, but in a way, not in a racist way, but in a way of like, no, that's me. And I'm sure there's dudes who like grew up in the hood and all that kind of stuff, but so I never, now I will admit this, since we're being honest here. If we're in a car with a really good sound system and the volume's all the way turned up and we're listening to a song and I can't even hear myself rapping along to it because the volume's so high, I might say it in that instance. There might be I might have like one story that's a retelling of one of my friend's stories where it needs to be emphasized in the story for the story to be as funny, but I'm not telling that story to just any random group of friends. And I might even preface the story with, hey, I'm going to say it, just so you know. But I ain't never telling that story on this shit. I'm never telling that story with the fucking microphone on and the camera on. Are you fucking crazy? That story is only being told around people who have given me the pass. And then even then, I'm going to say, hey, just so you know, I'm about to say it. But my Rogan prediction is, I think that eventually they're going to do so much, even though Spotify is like kind of backing him right now. I have a feeling, here's my prediction, my Rogan prediction. He's going to get canceled from Spotify at some point. He's then going to team up with somebody, make his own platform, or he's going to join somebody already. I think there's one called Rumble or something else already. He's going to put his stuff on there. His audience is going to actually grow because of this. This new platform is going to slowly like become super big too, because it's the place of free speech. It's going to get labeled as racist, misogynistic, alt-right, white conspiracy or white supremacy conspiracy theory place. Then within 3 years, 4 years, Rogan will die in an accident hunting, or maybe in a car crash, or he'll get assassinated by just someone working alone, completely alone, a lone wolf. Because he's becoming powerful. And like I said already, it's not even his own doing. It's the media now is making him into this powerful figure. And so then it'll be in a weird way. I can't believe I'd never even thought it. It's like he'll be the MLK. That's probably a racist statement right now. Of our time. Someone, or a JFK. Maybe JFK sounds a little better. The JRE and JFK. He'll be like the JFK of our time, because nowadays presidents don't mean shit. Presidents are just another cog in the system. We're never going to have another president assassinated. Biden might just fucking keel over and die, but we're never going to have a president assassinated, because no, at least, well, no. Because there's not going to be any free-thinking presidents for the U.S. They're all just going to be another cog in the system that just gets in line and does what they're told. Even Trump. Well, that's what I kind of liked about Trump in the beginning, was that he wasn't a part of the system. He was just another part of the system. Or they used him as such. Even if you're not, you can get used that way. Oh, dude, on a much lighter note, I completely raised my European Madden rating this week because I took a bottle of carbonated water to practice with me and to the gym, and drank that water like I would drink normal water. I had the option of just bringing a bottle of normal water. I was like, nah, let me bring that gassy water with me. And as soon as I was drinking it at practice, I was like, boy, I've came a long way. I've came a long, long way. What else? We got Super Bowl this week. I'm not going to pretend like I know too much what's going on with it. I'll watch it. If I had to bet, I'm betting on the Rams. But I think I'm rooting for the Bengals. Joe Burrow, Joey B. For some reason, I like him. It could be that we share the same name. I like his game. He's kind of got the deceptive athleticism, can scramble when he needs to. Got some swag. He said a cool thing this week about like his advice to kids is just work out in silence. You don't need to post every workout to social media. I thought that was cool. Although, and the funniest part about the Super Bowl is that California is like pausing COVID rules and restrictions for the weekend or the week of Super Bowl, because obviously it's about your health and not about money. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Dude, the one thing, I like to do TikTok lives occasionally, but after seeing some of the other TikTok lives that are out there, it really puts me off from wanting to do it, because I don't even want to be included in the same box of rocks as some of these insane motherfuckers. Like TikTok Live is a very strange place these days of, obviously it's like, I heard this stat that 93% of people are just like creepers or just onlookers. They don't engage with the content. They don't comment. They don't like. They just look. And then like 5-6% of them engage, and whether they comment or whatever it is. And then it's only 1% of people that are actually creating the content. And so, to a degree, everyone who's really putting themselves out there like that is a little fucked up in the head, myself included. I'll totally admit that. And so that's why I'm like, man, am I as fucking crazy as some of these people? I mean, in the last week, I've done some screenshots that I'm going to include. So if you're on YouTube, you'll see them, of people in TikTok Live that, let's see here. First one is like this guy that is like genderless or something. Seemed like a relatively nice guy, but a big thing now is like putting up a green screen behind you with all your positions on everything, your positions on life. And this is the craziest one I had ever seen in my life. Let me see if I can find. Okay. So they, them, agender, so no gender, Neptunic, so that means he's into non-binaries and women. Gender is mind, sex is body. Intersex people exist. Nice vegan, classist, ableist, and anti-indigenous veganism is cringe. What the fuck does that even mean, bro? Classist, ableist, and anti-indigenous veganism is cringe. I don't know. Leftist, not neoliberal. Bro, with those 6 bullet points up above you, you are neoliberal, I think. You can ask questions, like messages, follow, shares, gifts and tips, very much so appreciated but not required. Some topics, and so those were the frequently asked questions. Then some topics and faves are LGBTQIA, Harvey Milk, I don't know what that is, veganism, vegan burgers, atheism, Noam Chomsky, politics, Bernie, Pokemon, Bulbasaur. I mean, that's right there, this guy's fucked in the head. If Bulbasaur is your favorite Pokemon, bro, I mean, from the starters, he is the worst. Everyone knows Charmander's the best, then Squirtle, then Bulbasaur. And, I mean, even though Pikachu is as mainstream as it gets, you'd rather have Pikachu. Avatar, The Last Airbender, Arcanine, indie pop punk / emo. Like, I don't know. And maybe I'm just jealous of some of these guys. He has 66 people in his live when I screenshotted this. I maximum maybe get 20 people in there. But I'm also just in there like talking to people like they're my friends, which is maybe crazier than what this guy's doing. Then my next one was this girl who the top of the thing says, I need money for food. Says, hi, my name is Scotch Caffer, a small musician and creator. My girlfriend and I barely made enough to pay the bills this month, but have been left with no money for food. There's no pressure at all to donate. Please only donate what you can if you can. Any amount is appreciated, with the Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. She then had just the live set up with her, and then in the background, her open pantry with food in it. And like, she has 1.9 thousand people, 1,900 people in this live. I was like, and I was one of them for a while. I had to see what the fuck this insane clown was talking about. It's like, at one point she's like, yeah, well, some people just aren't privileged enough like myself to have this thing, to have food. And I'm like, having food now is about privilege? What are we doing? Next one. This is like I just did this one because it's like super common. It's like let's chat or debate, and then love is love, BLM, vaccines save lives, abortion is healthcare. I think policy for politicians. I don't know. Some of those things I'll agree with, but that's like the easy one to go to, and those ones exist all the time for the most part. There's 600 people in it. The craziest ones are like when people are then debating, and you can host other people and kind of have these debates on TikTok, and it's just idiots arguing with idiots. It's the ultimate Jay-Z quote of, I don't argue with fools because people from a distance can't tell who is who. And these people are just, that one's wild. But I just had to include that one as like, that's like a generic, super generic one. This is a new one. I thought this one was clever, but also crazy. And it said, it was a black guy on there, and he says, white people, if you want me to go back to Africa, hit my Cash App. And then, I don't know, he had a couple people. I didn't stay too long to listen to what was going on there. I just thought that premise was pretty funny. Hey, do you, player? That has 60 people in it. Then this one is the one where I know we're fucked as a society coming up, because these ones always have the most amount of people in them. And this is a guy with like a bowl of maggots or worms or something. And he just like sits there and like picks them up with the spoon and makes it look like he's going to eat them. And I don't know if they ever eat them. I don't stay in there long enough to find out. But just continually does this thing. And there's 3,700 people in this live. He doesn't say anything beneficial at all. It's just like am I going to eat it or not? And it's like, whoa. I mean, I guess it's like fear. It's like present day Fear Factor in a way. Then this one's super common. The thirst trap live of like a hot girl that's either it comes in a couple forms. Either she's laying down on her bed with like on her stomach with like a perfect view of her ass. Or in this girl's case, she like is in the pool and then in her bikini, and then she just gets super close to the wall and presses her tits up against the wall. And there's 925 people in this one. Another great, interesting one. Ask a skinhead, always anti-fascist. And this guy, I mean, again, I'm not staying in these ones too long, but just I see this one dude all the time. This dude was interesting. Obviously, well, I think that I can say it. Obviously a dude in a wig and with bad lipstick, bad makeup on. And I forget what he was even like. This person is for sure clinically insane. 2,400 people in there watching. Then you got the Bible-y one all the time, the religious one. Jesus is the only way to heaven. The Bible is God's word. God is 3 in 1, a Trinity. 220 people in there. Then you have weird motherfuckers like this, like dressed up in a cosplay thing, making weird faces, weird sounds, not even talking. Just 800 people in this one. So that's just like a few of the ones I've seen that are mind-blowing to me. Yeah, I don't really have anything else on that, so we're just going to move on. The Winter Olympics are in full effect right now, and dude, I have to say, because I've been at some friend's house and seen it on the TV and that way, like Finnish people are into the weirdest Winter Olympic sports. The ones that they care about the most, besides hockey, are so weird to me. Like ski jumping, like long jump thing, and cross-country skiing is like probably the two that most Finnish people would say, like, yeah, those are the ones I really want to see. And I'm like, whoa. Like, cross-country skiing is an activity, is a hobby. And the long jump thing, I don't get. That's like I don't know. Poland was really into it too. To me, it's like the people who are into skiing, long jumping are just not very bright. Because it's like all you have to watch and care about is like, did they jump far? And no disrespect to the people who do it, because that shit, you got to have some balls to do. I don't know how you just start off doing that, because people will literally fly for like 100 yards in the air. They're literally flying. But just thinking on the flip side, as Americans, we like skiing, but we like downhill skiing, and we like people jumping, doing jumps, but we fucking do tricks. We got a little swag to the skiing. I mean, cross-country skiing is essentially glorified walking on snow. And long jump skiing is just like, I mean, you could watch one person and you've watched them all, basically. They could literally just show the same person doing the same thing and use graphics and what's the word I'm looking for? Like, and use CGI to change the color of the outfit, and most of the people watching wouldn't even know. Yeah, that one's wild, bro. And then this is another little observation I've made over my year in Finland that I've noticed is once guys go through puberty, every Finnish guy has the exact same voice. Like, the tone is exactly the same. I don't know if it's how you're taught to speak or what, but you never hear a Finnish dude with a high-pitched voice or like a feminine voice. It's always like, oh, yo. Like, it's always like this deep fucking voice. And to the point where if I closed my eyes and just listened to my friend's group talking, it would be hard for me to understand or differentiate. It would be hard for me to differentiate who's talking. For the most part, they're all like in that same range of tone. So I don't know how the hell. I'm curious. How do you guys do that? And then I know more and more that I'm turning into a Finnish person because I was walking down the street the other day and just a random old guy on the corner looked at me and was like, "Moi." We met eyes and I gave him a moi back, little head nod. And I walked past and I thought, damn, that was like super cool. That never happens. That was nice. And then I started thinking like, wait, do I know that guy? What the fuck? What's wrong with him? What is something wrong with me? Like, who does he think I am? I remember just looking back like, and he was gone. So I was like, who the fuck was that guy? Thought about it way too long. Still thinking about it. I can remember exactly what the guy looked like. So, a couple random Finnish thoughts for the day. And you know how we close it out. With the little COVID craziness, or maybe at this point I should just call it cold craziness. Because it's essentially turning into the common cold. The UK Prime Minister just came out and he said, where is it? I got some videos coming up, but UK Prime Minister declares that the last remaining COVID restrictions, including self-isolation if testing positive, will end a full month early. Bro, that's the cold. And also here in Finland, if you're asymptomatic but test positive, they still want you to go into work. It's like, bruh, that is the cold. That is the flu. which was, again, a conspiracy if you said it 3 months ago. And I'm not downplaying the flu or the cold, because what we've forgotten over the last 2 years, because the flu and the cold has pretty much disappeared. I mean, statistically speaking, the flu used to fuck you up, bro. I can remember getting the flu and thinking like I might die. Diarrhea, throwing up, same time, body aches, like you were hurting. And just to add, sorry to be a fear porn monger, but the flu would kill people. Old people, kids, every year. It's like that just has been lost. It's like now we look at like, oh, we want the flu, not COVID. It's like, motherfucker, they're the same thing. It's weird too. Like we're getting to the point where not in every country, but at least in places that have some common sense, the Nordics. I think the US is getting there. Canada's getting there, not because they have common sense, but because they have some badass mother truckers, literally. But we're getting to a point where whether you got the shot or not, it really doesn't matter at this point. It was just this politicized thing for at least a year straight, and this point of division. I think one of my first episodes 2 years ago, when I started during the first quarantine in Spain, the episode was called Division Dragon, because I called it back then that this thing is going to get made into a thing that divides people even further, because it crossed over every demographic line. You know, there's always the easy division separators of race, religion, geography, nation, gender, sexuality, class, all these things. But what this pandemic did, what the vaccination did, was it made people who shared all the same views on all those or were in the same category for all those demographics, you could still then disagree on something. And so it gave you this thing to divide yourself with and fight amongst yourself on, even though you were in agreement on every other topic. And that's powerful, man, and incredibly intelligent and well thought out. But it's kind of cool at this point that it seems it's fading. People don't really care. Maybe on the internet they care. Maybe I'm just lucky to be where I am here in Finland, where there's kind of this extra sense of mind your fucking business and freedom of choice that I've noticed while being here, where it doesn't really matter. You know, like occasionally a friend will make a joke here or there, but it's all done in good fun. We were in the sauna the other day talking about get the shots and how they're done. My buddy from Czech was in the sauna. It was Czech, Finnish, and then me and an American guy all in the sauna talking about the different approaches and how it's been. And the Finnish guy made a joke that, like, you know, or I think we were talking about how it was in Czech Republic. And the guy in Czech said, yeah, you know, I think most people got it, but there's still some people who don't want to get it. And me and the other American don't have it. And so the Finnish guy knows this, and he goes, yeah, there's a couple of those everywhere. You know, and we all chuckled about it. And it was like a fun thing. But it didn't ruin the night. Like, it made the night better. And I don't know if, you know, I know in some circles, and maybe even here in Finland, like, that shit could then ruin a night. But I don't know. I'm grateful that it doesn't out here. But all right, I got some clips. I got some stuff. I think first, before a couple clips, is like, yo, like I said, these Canadian truckers are awesome, dude. And it's just so ironic to me. The mayor of Ottawa, where the takeover is happening. Takeover is probably the wrong word. The demonstration, the peaceful protest. The mayor of Ottawa has declared a state of emergency in the city due to the ongoing protest. And it's just so funny to me. I think the mayor said something like, the people need to get back to their lives and get back to work and blah, 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 like move on. And it's like, oh, so the lockdown and the shutdown of society was okay when you guys were doing it and the government was doing it. But when you're not in control of it and now it's making you look bad, now it's not okay. Literally putting a state of emergency on a protest for people protesting the fact that a state of emergency had been put on something that wasn't a state of emergency. Whew, that's like state of emergency inception right there. And it's just funny. They said they're trying to tow some of these trucks and stuff. There's been tow truck companies called and saying, hey, we don't have anyone to work. They're all sick with COVID. Or then other tow truck companies just saying like, yeah, we're not going to do that. And then on top of it, I guess they're bringing in even like heavier machinery, dump trucks, tractors, all these things that need some major tow equipment in order to do that. And then they said something along, I've enjoyed just kind of following this shit on Twitter, I'm not going to lie. And one of my favorite ones is they said, like, we're going to arrest anyone that's bringing gas. Because I don't exactly even know why they're bringing gas. Maybe to power the trucks to keep them warm kind of thing. And so all these protesters all showed up with empty gas cans. It's like, man, I love a good little petty revolutionary act. That must be the Boston Tea Party in me. But let's get in. It's funny just to see some of these. It tends to be the more liberal Democrat people that are kind of changing their tune slowly but surely. So let's get into a couple of these videos I clipped up. This one is a clip from CNN. And the fact that this lady is saying this on CNN and being like a paid CNN person, let me just play the clip.
Do you agree with the move?
I do. There was and is a time and place for pandemic restrictions, but when they were put in, it was always with the understanding that they would be removed as soon as we can. And in this case, circumstances have changed. Case counts are declining. Also, the science has changed. We know that vaccines protect very well against Omicron, which is the dominant variant. Everyone 5 and older have widespread.
Vaccines protect very well against Omicron, yet the main selling point, is you need to get a booster to protect against Omicron. And we need a new booster that's made specifically for Omicron. Like, it's crazy to watch them manipulate and like change the goalposts and stuff like that. All right, onward.
Access to vaccines. And we also know about one-way masking, the idea that even if other people around you are not wearing masks, if you wear a high-quality mask, that also protects you, the wearer, too. And so in this case, I'm not saying, I don't think anyone...
Bro, what? Like, the science has definitely changed because in the beginning, the mask had nothing to do with you. The mask was not a... The whole point of the mask was to be selfless and to wear it to protect everyone else. And it's not about you. It's about the greater good. And now they're literally saying, even though before that it was said by Fauci that masks don't even work. And then it went that we have to have them. And now there's the one-way wearer mask theory Like, bro, what?
And really is saying that no one should ever wear masks, but rather that the responsibility should shift from a government mandate imposed from the state or the local district of the school. Rather, it should shift to an individual responsibility by the family, who can still decide that their child can wear a mask if needed.
Take New Jersey, the case in New Jersey, for instance.
Huh. Like freedom of choice. What people have been asking for this entire time. What a novel concept.
Their new case average is just over 4,000. Is that an acceptable number to do this, or are they projecting out to March 7th at this point?
So they show a chart that's saying, they're going to stop wearing the mask for Spotify people. And like the case numbers are actually lower. Well, they're pretty low. I don't know. But they look very similar to how they've kind of always looked when mask mandates have been in place.
I don't think we should be looking at case counts at all at this point, especially when we're dealing with a milder variant and when so many people were exposed to Omicron.
I don't think we should be looking at case counts at all at this point, even though for the last 2 years, at any news channel that you go to worldwide, there's literally going to be a case count counter and a death counter in the corner.
And therefore have at least some level of protection either through vaccination or immunity. The key number that we should be looking at is hospitalizations. If our ICUs and hospitals in that particular region are not overwhelmed, if they're not over capacity, we can set a number, for example, 75% or 80% full, then we should be able to relax all restrictions. And I actually believe that we should be starting to, with the first restriction removed, should actually be the restriction on children. Because while for adults, you could say, well, what's the harm of adults masking when they go into a grocery store? There actually is a harm that we should be discussing of children continuing to mask. That doesn't mean that masking doesn't have its place for children when there are very high rates of hospitalization. If we get a new variant in the future that children are particularly susceptible to, we may want to bring masks back. But we should also be intellectually honest and say that masking has had a cost, especially for the youngest learners, people with English as a second language, children with learning disabilities.
It's just setting it up for the future of maybe in the future there's a variant that really affects kids. So then we can go back on our word and take it back. It's like, even though this thing hasn't affected kids at all, less than the flu would, so, some stats might say. It's just crazy to me. And I didn't realize that like polling numbers were such a major variable in the scientific method. Because I'm not going to pretend like I know what all the polling numbers are. Just everyone that I trust that follows that type of stuff has all said, well, like the Democrats are polling at an incredibly low rate nowadays. And so it's weird how when that happens, all of a sudden they start changing their tune a little bit. And like speaking of the science, it's bad when the left, like a CNN or late night talk show hosts, are starting to like come around and preach the points that have been conspiracy for the last year. And so my next one is from Bill Maher. And listen, I'm not like a huge Bill. I like him. Some of the stuff he's said is super funny. Like just his comedy bits. Some stuff I think he's an idiot on. I like listening to him, though, even though I don't agree with everything he says. Because, I just take for what he's saying in the present moment and make my decision on whether I like what he says, given the fact of what he's saying, not based on my emotional feelings towards him. So let's do this one.
It's time to do what a growing list of countries have done and announced we're going back to something more like normal, beginning with recognizing that what we're doing to kids is unnecessary and horrible, and I don't even like kids. But making kids who have a COVID survivability rate of 99.98% mask up like bandits, Unfortunately, the thing that's getting stolen is their education, their sanity, and their social skills. A study this week from a professor at Johns Hopkins concluded that the lockdowns we all suffered through had little impact in reducing COVID deaths. Okay, that's kind of a big one to get wrong. Last July, President Biden said, "You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations." Well, I already knew that was wrong then, and now we all do. The former director of the CDC, Robert Redfield, believes COVID originated in a lab, and now our intelligence agencies agree it might have. But for months on social media, it was banned to even discuss it. Look, I'm not saying the medical establishment isn't trying to figure shit out or that they're corrupt, although there is some of that. But
Like the fact that he's saying this on national TV, where a year before, if you even mentioned the thing about it coming from a lab, is your post was taken down and flagged and all that kind of stuff. That's why I'm hopeful right now. It gives me hope. It's because the tide is a-turning.
But how about just wrong? Wrong a lot. Wrong about HIV, wrong about lockdowns, wrong about kids, wrong about how you couldn't get it if you were vaccinated. Remember washing our packages? And there's never been any research showing that outdoor transmission is likely or common, yet LA County says we're still supposed to mask up for big outdoor events, like we'll be at the Super Bowl. Well, supposed to. It's all theater, watching athletes mix it up on the court and then mask on the sideline, not being able to touch a menu, but watching them touch my food. Maskless at dinner while sitting but not standing. And by the way, if Applebee's really cared about our health, they would make us cover our mouths after the food arrived. I'm just asking, how much wrong do you get to be while still holding the default setting for people who represent the science?
Man, like I said, for that to be on national TV is insane. But it's becoming obvious, dude, at this point. You know, and you can look up the stats of the stats right now of Israel, where they are on their fourth vaccine, the second booster, the cases, all that stuff. It's just crazy, bro. Just crazy. So, I don't know. I got my couple little things I'll go through real quick if you're still listening at this point. It's like, I guess, even though all this stuff's happening, Pfizer is still supposedly coming out with a pill that'll cut risk of hospitalization and death by 89%, even though the chance of dying and the chance of being hospitalized at this point is so minuscule. I mean, it's great that then we're cutting another 90% off of that already incredibly low number. But what's the point? Like, do we really need it? I'll tell you, the point is fucking money. I think Pfizer's stock has gone up, or I don't even know if the right word is their stock went up, but they've made like $78 billion this year. Correction, that was $38 billion. My bad. Pfizer expects to make nearly as much revenue just from COVID-19 vaccines in 2021 as it earned in all of 2020 on everything. Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna making $1,000 profit every second. Combined profits of $65,000 every minute. So that's why they want a pill. It's man. Well, I'm going to leave us on the low note today, just like a true episode 100 should. Appreciate you guys. I didn't say this episode was sponsored by myself. You guys know the drill. Check out the store. Make some purchases. That'd be great. Until next time. Peace and much love. Holla.